Hey everyone, welcome to another video review. This is the Surtoys ST-01 Commander, their version of a Masterpiece Blitzwing. We'll go ahead and put them off to the side real quick and look at this box, which is very purple and yellow, much like the figure itself. You can see ST-01. It actually was cool. You can see a whole bunch of like rough drawings, I suppose, of the figure, you know, when they're designing it in the backgrounds there. Got the Commander, GA, ST-01. I'm listening to GA is probably ground air or something like that. Got a thing not for ages 3 and under, and there's a warning there. And of course it says also ages 16 and up, because this is not for children at all. On the top here, you just have Star Toys right there. On this side, you have, you know, the Commander and all that stuff with another outline, and so I believe that's Chinese. And that's how you have the tank mode, and, you know, same words. On the bottom, you have Star Toys, and on the back, you have outlines again of the figure in its various modes, plus some warnings and cautions and please recycle and made in China, all that stuff. Very simple. It's also a plastic tray, by the way. Inside also is, well, not an instruction booklet, but a card. So, you know, it says Star Toys. On the back side here, you have the Commander and all that stuff, and you have a couple QR codes, which, well, for Beauty and YouTube, those are the instructions, because it does not include paper instructions. Just that. Not thrilled for particular reasons. Basically, my problem with instructions is simple. It's not that they're video, obviously, because I do video instructions. The problem is twofold. Number one, this is a trend I'm seeing with a lot of third-party companies, which is they're doing these stop-motion instructions. By basically the same one or two accounts basically make stop-motion instructions for these third-party companies. The problem is those look good. They look really good. These stop-motion things are very good and very impressive, and you know all that stuff. But the problem is they move so fast and often skip over a lot of important details when they do the instructions, that they're not very good. You have to constantly pause them or slow them down or whatever, and just to be able to actually can transform. Particularly the first time, you're probably going a little slow and being careful because you don't want to break your new toy. And the second part I don't like about these is, or this one in particular, is the instructions show you how to transform over tank to jet to robot, even though it's packaged in robot mode. It doesn't show you how to turn it back either. So that's extra frustrating. So I had to kind of sit there kind of figuring out a lot of stuff. It's like some of it's like, yeah, I can figure it out on my own, but I want to make absolutely certain I'm doing it right, not making assumptions. And it's hard to follow along when you're trying to go backwards on a video. So yeah, it's just really frustrating. It's like, if you're going to do video instructions, do it right. So anyway, yeah, the toy itself, their version of Blitzwing, Commander, I'm just probably calling it Blitzwing for the most part, because I wasn't even sure it was called Commander until a little bit ago. But you can see, and we're starting in tank mode, because yeah, the transformation video will start in robot mode and stuff, but we're starting tank mode because I can do that. Hooray. But yeah, it is a very large, wide, well, very mostly tannish, well, tan-ish. It's a very creamy tan, I should say, tank. So it's bits of purple sticking out. You can see, you know, all that stuff. You get to see the, yeah, you can see, you know, purple in there. You got the treads, you know, picked out and everything. You got this tank, which has a bit of nice detail, including a couple hatches and whatnot. You got, of course, the gun barrel. You got some bits here, but, you know, it's kind of well expected that, you know, the modes are not going to be perfect because it's a triple changer. You know, all that stuff. You got some purple striping, all that. You know, you got some, you know, here's some bits and bobs that kind of make it clear this is not a static tank. Back, you do have some venting detail, and yeah, you got again some purple right there. Yeah, mine has a little, unfortunately, the paint on the die-cast got a little scuffed, unfortunately, but that's something I don't really mind myself, but that did happen. On the bottom, you see a lot of purple. You can see that robot and everything. Yeah, it's like, it actually, for all things considered, for a triple changer, it's pretty clean. You like that. The only thing is, and this, unfortunately, neither one of the alt modes, there's no weapon storage for his weapons, so I won't be bringing those out quite yet. But yeah, there's no weapon storage, unfortunately. So that's a bit of disappointment. And he does have wheels down here, little tiny rolling wheels, but he does roll. He actually roll fairly well. I'm not having any problem with like friction or anything. The only thing I have a problem is the legs like to untab themselves, and there seems to be a reason for that. I'll get into that in robot mode too, because little bit of a unforced error there. Yeah, nice rolling wheels. The cool thing also is the tank treads. You can see these wheels right here. They don't do anything except they don't do anything for rolling, but they do actually spin in their little things. All four of the rolling wheels, all these wheels do. On these do not. On this side, also one of them, I think they're tightened down a little too, because these two in the back here, this one's a little snug, and this one barely moves at all. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And of course, the turret itself can do a full 360, although of course when you do, you kind of expose a little bit, but you know, not too bad. right there, and it goes up and down right there. Now, thing is, what was it? Unlike the cartoon, it doesn't have the tank or the jet cockpit sticking out anywhere, but I'm actually very okay with that personally. It otherwise looks very much like the cartoon. You can see where the jet cockpit is, and I think theoretically you could leave it sticking out, but that would just look weird. I wouldn't do it personally. I think you can if you want to, but it won't look good. But yeah, so that's the thing. And also, yeah, it's just a nice little tank mode. Well, not little. It's actually pretty chunky and big. You can see it's a good size. Yeah, it's a nice tank. I like it. I like it a lot. I was kind of surprised how well they pulled it off, all things considered. It's a good tank. Not a whole lot of comparisons I'm going to do in this mode. There's going to be 3 in particular. I'd love to do 4, but that toy hasn't shown up yet. So yeah, I'd love to compare this to Astro Train. I do not have an Astro Train in Masterpiece, so Advanced Toys still dragging. It's supposed to be out in December. It's May. What's going on? But anyway, Masterpiece level. Here's why not. One of the only tank Masterpiece Transformers I have. Brawl. You can see very much a bit of a size difference here. You can see much, really enough. It's weird because the turrets are roughly the same size, but yeah, this is kind of an exaggerated tank. Tanks usually aren't this wide, if I recall correctly, but, well, at least old tanks. But yeah, you can see, I don't know anything about tanks, so someone's going to correct me. But yeah, you can see, compared to each other. So you got that whole thing. Well, yeah, also even the cool thing I forgot to mention, which is there's actually rifling on the barrel. I'm not sure if I don't think it spins around, but still, they kind of mimic the effect, which is cool because of that one shot, you know. Come on down, Auto Brat. By the way, yeah, Masterpiece Cups will not scale with this guy. In this mode, you're going to have to get like a Legends class. I believe there's only one. He's like $100-something now because of scarcity. Anyway, here he is with my Robot Hero Springer in his vehicle mode. Just the only other Masterpiece Triple Ginger I have right now. Well, I guess not counting trip combiners. See that? So yeah, it's actually roughly the same size in this vehicle mode, so that's very interesting. So there you go. And yeah, just because I don't usually do these kind of comparisons, but you know, why not this time? Here he is with the Legacy Blitzwing. Yeah, you can see the very different shades of, tan. This is much more of the tan shade I think a lot of people are hoping for. This is a much more pale tan, and also very different purples. Again, purples are always a nightmare on film, but hopefully it'll come across that they are very different shades of purple. But yeah, definitely it's a better tank mode, but also costs more, literally over twice as much. So there you go. So anyway, great tank. Like it a lot, so I'm going to go ahead and take him to jet mode, and we'll continue this review, huh? jet mode. Jet mode is, well, largely purple with the bits of the tannish, whitish color. So, yeah, it's actually, again, pretty good, impressive what they do transformation-wise to cover up so much stuff. And, well, all the tan stuff's kind of down here. Is also, I really like the actual turret is largely hidden, pretty much hidden away. It's just, you know, yeah, you can still see it, but, like, it's not like there's a big old bulky gun barrel sticking out, you know, at the bottom or anything. The one thing is also I've noticed, for whatever reason, you can see these do not like just totally fit together, at least particularly on one side. It's like there's like too much pressure or something, so they don't 100% come together. You can see the gapping, but it's not too bad, honestly. I do like how the wings, it's very cartoon accurate instead of, because I know like there have been 2 prior Masterpiece Blitzwing attempts, I believe DX9 and Unique Toys, I think was the other one. But yeah, DX9 specifically tried to very much make it look like a MiG, which they pretty much successfully did, but this is more like, hey, this is what the cartoon did. So, yay. So there's no tail fins back here, really. You can kind of put these up, I guess. You can put these up sort of as tail fins, but it doesn't really look right, so I just like those down. Yeah, there's no tail fins as far as I can see. But the other thing is mentioning is, I want to say during the transformation, these the missile tips right here have to be parts formed. You probably might have seen that, and possibly during the transformation video you saw that. But yeah, these have to be parts formed, which is I think my one and only complaint is when you go into tank mode. For tank mode you have to remove these, which is a little annoying. They don't have to move far; they come with a different part of the turret, but it's not too bad. Also, in one of the instructions videos I found, apparently like they show this rotated the other way around, which makes sense. You'd think this flat part would go up against this. No, it doesn't fit right like that. You have to have it like this with the hand kind of visible a little bit, but that's not too bad, honestly. And also these vents right here, I still haven't figured out how to get the vents to line up and tab in without using a spudger, so that's a little disappointing. But still, overall, I really do like how it looks. You know, the treads kind of integrate how they're supposed to and everything, and it's may not be realistic jet, but it looks pretty cool for the most part. I just genuinely like this. And even got a translucent blue cockpit. You can't really open it up. Well, I think you can kind of open it up, but not very well. You can kind of open it up a little bit, but there's really nothing in there. But, tabs in pretty secure and everything. The wheels, there are, actually the one clever thing I like, which is they reuse the same wheels from the tank mode for the landing gear. So that's real clever use. And this one will roll. So again, a jet that can rolls pretty smooth. The wheels don't jam up or anything. So yay, works really well. I do really like this jet mode. This is a really good jet mode overall, and it looks nice and everything. And just realism may be out the window, but that's a cool. It still looks cool and looks very cartoon-esque. And yeah. And again, you can see some bits of robot right there, but it's not too bad. There you go. Real nice jet. Very easy to grab and just whoosh it. The one other complaint I would have, and some people have, which is there is no flight stand, anything here. The cool thing is, theoretically though, I think a flight stand could work with just because, if it grabs around this, the only thing I'd be worried about is this possibly, although with gravity and everything, this would push up. So I don't know. But it'd possibly wrap around this or something to be a flight stand or some sort. So we'll see if that's possible. Someone might be able to make a flight stand adapter for this guy or something. So we'll see. The other thing is also sometimes on mine, this particular part doesn't like to always tab in nicely. It's tabbed in nicely now, but sometimes it likes to sit funny, and it's a pain in the butt because of how there's very, very tight clearance there. But overall, really nice looking jet. And again, unfortunately, no weapon storage anywhere. I was hoping maybe somewhere in here, but no, there's nothing there to do that. But anyway, comparisons real quick. There's a jet. Even with the whole MP theme, I'm just gonna I just grabbed a seeker. Oh, not a seeker. I have multiple seekers, but I decided to go ahead. This is the Make Toys Skycrow, but pretty much all the Masterpiece Seekers are pretty much the same size, so it gives you an idea of size comparisons. It is roughly the same size as an MP Seeker, so maybe a bit shorter overall, but wingspan and everything, it is roughly the same size, so that's cool. And again, as far as I can tell, all the MP Seekers are pretty much the same size, even the ones that are a little too tall. Again, I wish I could compare to Astro Train, but don't have one. So again, though, here's Springer in his helicopter mode. Which, yeah, here's where you can see Springer stays kind of roughly the same size, but Blitzwing kind of expands a bit in some sense. So yeah, you can see. But yeah, they're still roughly the same size, although the cockpits aren't definitely notch and scale within one another anymore. But still, there you go. That's another triple changer. And here he is with his Legacy version, which, yeah, I've talked about how disappointing the jet mode is before, but yeah, it kind of really pales. I mean, I know different budgets and everything, but still, this is still a really big disappointment compared to this thing, which has just nailed it. So, yep. There you go. So, that's jet mode. Really, again, good, another good alt mode. So I'm going to go ahead and take him to robot mode, and we'll finish up this review with all that stuff. So here we go. All right, robot mode. Yes, robot mode for Challenger or Commander Blitzwing here. Yeah, Commander Blitzwing. Boy, he loved that one, didn't he? But anyway, yeah, the robot mode, which, yeah, again, good mix of purple and beige up top. You got a bit of white down there. And yeah, you got all the details. You got his yellow head helmet thing with the red visor and the red thing. Even they got the purple thing. Granted, the only thing they didn't do, which I almost thought they might do, which, like maybe like thinking about it, have this so you could flip this turret down, have a little tiny turret be able to flip out here if you want or something, because apparently a lot of times in the show they literally drew the turret coming out of his head. You think they might do that, but they didn't. Oh, well, not a big deal to me, thank goodness, because, well, I actually prefer it without the turret on the head. But yeah, you get the shoulder bits, you got his arms, which kind of don't quite line up, because it's one of those things where it's a sacrifice necessary because of how the original toy was designed. You got a nice purple. There's not a lot of paint here. Mine has a little bit of scuff right there, unfortunately. It came out of the box like that. You got the red and yellow there. You got the bit of the white, some white shins, the purple, the little L there. The tail fins and the feet, the boosters. You got the purple wings, by the way, when it comes out of the box, of course. Yeah, these are pegged in differently. You got the tank turret. You got those the treads and everything. And you even have the purple square, because in the cartoon model, apparently there's a purple on the back, and they even colored this panel purple. They made it all spin around everything specifically, probably just to make this happen, which is pretty neat. But yeah, you got all that stuff. It looks great. Yeah, I really like how this guy looks overall as a toy. The only thing is, yeah, he is a bit back heavy. You can see there's a lot back there, but thankfully it's most of the joints can take it. The only thing is on mine, the ab crunch is a little weak. You can see right there, yeah, it wants to just go backwards. a little bit. It's not the end of the world because he doesn't lean back that bad, but yeah, you can do that. He can, by the way, I was wondering about this, but yeah, he can stand stock straight like this, you know, this, but yeah, you can see him also leaning way backwards. Yeah. He has a tendency to lean back a lot when you do it like this. If you do a bit of finagling with the joints, you can get him to not lean back so much. So, yeah, see, so there you go. That's a thing that we watch it mindful of. That's a little disappointing, but I can understand. It's one of the realities of Blitzwing things. Yeah, he does this finally. Could get to his accessories, which he has a purple rifle, which is just purple. You can see all that. It's got a little bit moldy detailing in there, but it's purple, just a purple rifle. And of course, it's got the tab, which, well, go in his hand pretty smoothly if you don't just drop it like a doofus. Yeah, just tabs into his hand. Nice and secure. Like, yeah, it's a pretty secure connection there. He also has a sword, which, it's got the little notches in it. It's got the bit of yellow on the blade. So there's the tabs are on one side, so it's, the sword has to only pretty much goes in one way. Again, just opening the hand and tabbing it in is pretty simple. And it, again, tabs in fairly securely. I was pretty happy about that. So yeah, he can hold his stuff, look good, all that stuff. The other thing, of course, he has another accessory, which is an alternate face. As it is, he's got this neutral expression. He's got one other face, which one other face is fine. I'll get it out of the bag real quick. And yeah, don't do that. Ooh, that was my bad. I'll just leave that out. But getting that in the face, you kind of want to, I gotta get this out of the way. But yeah, you want to get under there, and it's a little bit of a, it's a little, a bit of a pain to get in there under there, because there is also an extra hinge here, and I'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, there's getting in under here, under the head, can be a bit of a pain just to get the face off. But yeah, it's supposed to be, it's just pegged in, so just eventually you can work it out. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's a tab and two pegs. And you can also see, another face. Surprised face. But eventually you can swap those around, and bam, now he's mad. Now he's a bit mad. Or sad or something. It's hard to tell when you can't see his eyes. Yeah. A couple things I want to point out on this. The hips, unfortunately, you can see that they're a bit of they have the thing with the ratchets. There's too much spacing between each ratchet click point, so that's your first click, which means she's going to always either be narrow-legged or wide stance. Some people have resorted to removing the ratchets, turning the friction joint. I'm a little worried about that over time because, again, the sheer weight of the backpack might worry that down. On mine, these particular tabs right here, I'm going to show you these tabs right here. They're kind of weird hook tabs, and these aren't. These are the other tabs going. These are hook tabs. These aren't, and it's weird because when you tab these in the first time, oh my goodness. I just did this, actually kind of made myself bleed. I got one of those hand slips and, jammed apart under my fingernail type of things. So what I did, I just shaved a little bit of the L-shaped bed. I just shaved a little bit of the tab down. I had to do that. I haven't heard anyone else, but I had to do that. I had to shave down a little bit of the tab, and now it's still tabs in very securely, but I can actually, get it out. So that's nice. Speaking of tabs, unfortunately, one of the tabs on mine broke. I left in the bag with the head. You can see right there. Yeah, one of the tabs, specifically that tab right there. It broke. It's supposed to tab this tread. As far as I can tell, this is the only function it has, which is tabbing this tread into the turret. Everything pretty much everything else, because of how it tabs together, still holds real solid. So this one spot is the only thing that is not tabbed in properly. Everything else they'll hold in solid. So it's the one thing. And the way it broke, it didn't break when I was like undoing this. The backpack came apart and everything. First time I'm transforming, I got all the way to jet mode, and then all of a sudden a tab lands on my lap. So all I can think of is likely the tab was just really in really bad shape out of the box. It might have been just a QC error. The tab was in rough shape, possibly for some reason. And unfortunately, well, it just kind of eventually just came off. So that sucks. Oh, right. One other thing is the legs. Unfortunately, there's a problem. This pretty much seems to be a consistent problem because basically they kind of cheaped down how they did the ratchet and the knees. You can see this leg right here, nice and straight. This leg, you can see there's a slight bend, and you can push it forward and then just kind of snaps itself back. See, it just snaps itself back. Apparently, that's a cause of they used the same ratchet. They just flipped it upside down for this side. So it causes a weird spacing issue where it's just slightly off. You can see, might be able to see that, where it's just one leg is slightly lower than the other. Yeah, one knee. It doesn't really impede posing too much, but it is frustrating that they decided to cheap out right there and use that. And the other thing is, some people reported that their hip ratchets don't work out of the box, which, here's the thing. If that happens, it seems to be the easiest fix is just go ahead and whichever ratchet is the one that's not working, just click it all the way out. Eventually, you move it all the way out. Eventually, you'll hear a click, and then it'll work again. I don't know, something got seated wrong or something in there when it was manufactured. So, just something to be aware of. If you run into that, just move the leg all the way out, and eventually you'll click, and then it should start clicking normally after that. So, another thing on that, mine is this has a really loose friction hinge right here. This one's solid, but this one's really loose on mine. It doesn't take, you see, it doesn't take a whole lot to make it do that versus this one. Yeah, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but overall looks really nice even without the paint. I know some people are going to get really upset about over no paint, not a lot of paint, but I think it still has a good finish overall. Still looks really good. It still looks very cartoon accurate. It's got some small issues, but hopefully maybe for version 2 they'll make some tweaks for the second release and make it better. Because as is, it's already a great toy. Just a couple little pains because this is a new company and everything. I guess getting into articulation, head, ball joint, so left and right, up and down. There, as you can see, there's a little hinge there. So see right there, there's a hinge. It's a little stuck on mine, but yeah, you can see you can get him all the way up. So you can, I guess, when he's flying, so that's gonna be helpful. There's that extra hinge there. Shoulders, ratchet forward and back. You can only get pretty much that far forward because of the shoulder thing. You can only go that far back because of the wings. But you got a ratchet there, nice heavy ratchet. Friction outward, you go that far. You got a bicep swivel. You do have a double jointed elbow, so you get a full curl, or as close to a full curl as you can considering the shoulders. So you think, can you? Yeah, pretty close. But yeah, you got that. Down here at the hands, I'm gonna try to zoom in a little bit. The hands, you have a swivel there and a hinge, a little bit of a hinge there. Not a whole lot of movement. You got a bit of hinge there and a swivel there. I think it might be, no, it's not a ball joint, but yeah, you got all that. If you really move the plastic, you can get a fairly good hinge there. Yeah, do that. And I don't think you can go back. Yeah, you can't really go backwards. There's no too much plastic in the way. The thumb is on a ball joint. You can see that. Also, so yeah, all that movement there. And there's also a nice cut for lots of ball joint movement. You also got 2 hinges on the thumb. So you got nice degree of movement there. And each finger is on one hinge at the base and one hinge at the knuckle. So decent amount. There's no splay. I wish there was maybe a third knuckle, but I can understand why at this size you might be a little hesitant about that. But overall, it's not too bad. The thumb might be a little long, though. So it's actually decent hands. Not the most amazing hands, but decent enough for most poses. Just wish there was a bit of splay, though. Anyway. Down here, there is a waist swivel, which does kind of stop at the certain point because of the backpack. You can see enough for most poses, but of course there is also the ab crunch, which can go forward and actually go back a bit because of the multiple hinges. But if you use the forward ab crunch, you get a little bit more, if you use ab crunch, you get a bit more waist swivel. So just be mindful of that. This is the other complaint some people have. It doesn't bother me that much, but I can see why. The hip skirt, there's only a single skirt piece right there in the front, and these, of course, skirt bits on the sides. There's nothing on the back, but that, of course, lets you, move legs about that far forward. You get about that far back before you start hitting the thing. Unless you use the ab crunch, which case you can get, that far back. Yeah, decent amount of, posability there. Outward, you got that much outward, pretty much full splits, and then of course, yeah, again, like I said, you get one. Let's see how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6. Still no, should have been 8, honestly. But you have a thigh swivel, which right there, because that's in the cartoon. He had a weird like line there on the cartoon, which some people are kind of disappointed that they're using that as the cut for the thigh swivel. But I kind of understand why they did. Oh, by the way, if you also use this, you can use the transformation joint separately. So if you use that, so that's something. Just be mindful. Don't accidentally use this transformation joint unless you really want to. Just be mindful that's there. But yeah, knees, you do have a double hinge, double jointed knee. Just, yeah, it's best if you try to do the upper joint first. If you want the full curl, try to move the upper joint first, then this back joint. You can't get a complete flattening, but you can get pretty far like that. And down here at the feet, you do have tilts, which about that far. You do have a degree, if you start tilting, you do have a little bit of up and down right there. The toe can't really move up, but it can move down. Well, it can kind of move. It can move up. Yes, right. I got it backwards. Yeah, it can move up a bit. Not a whole lot, but it can move up a bit. And the heel can swing down and up a bit as well if you need that. And by the way, also, if you don't like these, because even though this is cartoon accurate, if you don't like it like that, you can always just leave them up like that. So your choice there, depending on how you want cartoon accuracy or not. Woo! I do notice on mine sometimes that the heels just kind of like to want to sit like that, which they will sit on the edge of the heel, but I prefer it when it's flat-footed if I can. But anyway, there you go. That's posability, which again, pretty solid overall. Actually, really solid overall. There's a couple little things which, it's one of those things. Some of the things are like design problems, and others it's like, yeah, I wish there's just more ratchets in the hips is a big thing, but yeah, otherwise it's a pretty solid overall design, articulation-wise too. So, quick comparison right here. Actually, I'm going to get him stock straight just for the sake of maximum height, hopefully. So yeah, hopefully that will work out. He's a big boy, by the way. Here he is with Masterpiece Megatron, who, yeah, he's taller than him. A bit, just a smidge taller than him. Apparently a lot of people I think that's supposed to be right, but I'm not 100% certain. But yeah, he's a bit taller than Megatron. And here he is with Springer, who also has the problem with the legs a bit. But yeah, he is a bit taller than Springer. At least this version of Springer, the robot hero, Airwolfle. So there you go on that. Because one episode Triple Trouble, here he is with Starscream, the official Masterpiece. Way taller than Starscream here. Way taller. But yeah. There you go. Now, here's the other thing. This guy was designed by a guy who used to work for a different company, namely Transform Element / Deformation Space. I believe this was the same guy who designed this, the Transform Element Op Leader or whatever you want to call him. I believe it's the same guy who designed both, but it's not the same company. He worked for, okay, so what I'm understanding, Black Apple owned Transform Element, and then turned to Transform Element into Deformation Space, and then the guy left that company and Black Apple dissolved it, and then he formed a new company called Star Toys, and he made this guy. So you got that. There's that thing. And normally, when compared to Two Seekers, but again, because of the whole connection with the same designer thing, here's the Deformation Space Thundercracker. A bit taller than him. Transforms better. This thing has a lot of little frustrations. This thing is a much better overall transformer, by the way. I never reviewed this guy. I meant to, actually had filmed, and then technical errors, and then I just kind of got distracted by other toys coming out, so never got around to it. Decent toy, but definitely some annoyances of the transformation, to say the least. And one final comparison. Here he is with the Legacy Blitzwing, which, again, good robot mode though. This, as many faults as he might have in his alt mode, he still has a pretty good robot mode, and you can see the whole thing, how they did things differently and whatnot. But there you go. So that is the Star Toys Commander, aka Blitzwing. I think he is a solid, really good figure overall. I do rather like him quite a bit. He's a nice big toy. He looks great in all three of his modes. His transformation is actually not too bad. For the most part, it's pretty straightforward. I was able to figure out a lot of it. The instructions are terrible because there are these the video instructions in the wrong order. But despite that, I was able still to still figure it out. So they're not absolutely terrible. Mine did break a little bit, but overall it still holds. And I think some sounds of it, I'm not hearing anyone else complain about breakages like that. So it sounds like I just kind of got a random dud. Other people are complaining about some other things that went over a lot of that stuff. But even with his faults, it's still a really fun toy. It's still a good looking toy. And he's actually got a decent price too. I believe he's about, 120, $130, at least at Show Z store. He was that price or so, somewhere in thereabouts. And yeah, I think he's worth it at that price. If he shows up at other retailers for more, but that price, definitely, he's a great Blitzwing. And I foresee a lot of DX9 Ditkas hitting the aftermarket. And I don't know, a lot of people are kind of waffling about whether or not to get the fans' toys Blitzwing or not. But regardless, it's a really solid toy overall. Some people may disagree, some people may upset over the lack of paint and some of the other little bits here and there that might upset them. But overall, I think great, worth checking out. Transformation is great. All the 3 modes are great. It's just wonderful. And it's funny because they announced this like right after I was thinking, man, I really want to get a Masterpiece Blitzwing. I wonder how far along Fans Toys is or whatever. And then, they announced this. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. I don't think I'm going to get the Fans Toys version anymore unless it really blows me away. But yeah, worth it. Go get it if you can. If you want a Masterpiece Blitzwing, I think this is the best option on the market right now. So at least I've never really handled the other two, but from what I've seen, unless you really want an accurate MIG alt mode. So that's it for this one. I hope you found it informative and entertaining. Hope that, comment, subscribe. Check out my Twitter at Nemesis Prime 1. Check out my co-host.org/Nemesis-Prime. Check out my Coffee, my Patreon, and I'll see you next time with another video review.